Welcome to the Psychology Podcast, a platform where we discuss the mental, physical, and emotional health of your world. Welcome to where mind meets body. With your host, Kristen McAdams.
Welcome to the Psychology Podcast, y'all. I'm your host, Kristen McAdams. I'm in the studio with our first guest in the new studio, Maggi Mayfield. She is absolutely amazing. She is a singer, songwriter, voiceover actress, comedian, overall good human. What else do you do?
So cool.
What else do you do? How long's the resume at this point?
I don't know. I'm looking for more work, and I'm like, ugh, do I have to do this?
Just adding things on. What did you find? She was telling me earlier that she found an interesting job.
Where you can watch porn and rate reviews.
And review it like Rotten Tomatoes and get paid $30 an hour in case you guys are looking for a new job.
It's on Craigslist.
Yeah,
it's true work from home.
Mm-hmm. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Everyone's like, I can't find work. I'm like, you can't. Let me throw a disclaimer in at the beginning of the show. If you're having a mental health emergency, the hotline's at the end of, we have cameras now. I don't know how to use them. If you're having a mental health emergency, the number is at the end of the episode. But if you are listening to this, you don't need to take it literally. You can go seek the help of a mental health professional or a medical doctor or anything that you need. It is a podcast. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. We're here to have conversations. If you're one of my clients, you don't like what you hear, you can bring it up in session, or I will provide you a referral. I definitely support therapeutic fit. And I have to say all that so nobody fucking sues me, because people are stupid these days. So yeah. But we're going to talk about some fun things, because Maggi just released her new special. And
I just taped it. I didn't release it.
Oh, you didn't release it yet. She taped it. When are you going to release it?
I don't know. Editing takes a long time.
Whenever I feel like it.
Editing takes a long time.
When it's perfect.
No, when it's done.
Okay.
I don't have time for perfection.
Nobody has time for perfection. So a lot of the songs that you wrote were about social media and social media being fake and reading the news and things like that. And we won't release too much because you need to go watch the special. Do you know what you're going to release it on? YouTube?
Yeah, it'll be YouTube.
YouTube? Okay.
I'm going to do a film festival circuit first.
Okay.
To see if there's any interest in a platform picking it up. And then if that doesn't work out, which it will, it'll definitely be on YouTube at some point.
Okay. Where can they find you? Where can listeners find you?
At Maggi Mayfield. Maggi Mayfield.
That trips me up every time I try to text you.
I know.
Spell it wrong and I can't find you on my phone.
I didn't pick that. My mother did that. My name is Margaret, but she was like, I don't want her nickname to be Marge or Peggy.
So she went
Maggie, but her best friend's name is Maggie, also without an E.
Oh, okay.
So that's
so
how
you named after her best friend?
I didn't pick it. Which you think, like, there are times where I'm like, I hate this. When people want to send me an email and be professional. And then there are times where it's like, this is cool.
Yeah. It's always our mom's fault.
Mm-hmm.
My mom says my dad named me after his ex-girlfriend. So I don't know if that's accurate, but I think my dad would say no. Or did he say yeah? I don't know. We don't know. It's a mystery to this day.
And your mom just agreed to it?
Yeah. No.
Well, that's a her issue.
Yeah. It's a her problem.
Because now for the rest of her life, she has to look at you.
Yeah. Well, she already has a problem with that anyway. So
no.
That's what's interesting about like moms. Like they'll see, especially if you have like the generation of our parents that are like boomers or whatever, they have this very like specific trend within that generation. And it's like, they don't like the things they see in you that reminds them of them. And they also don't like the things they see in you that remind them of your other parent.
It's true.
So it's like, as a whole person, they're just like, I don't like you altogether. As a whole person.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It took my mom being in her 60s until we became friends.
Yeah.
It was fine up until like talking, but now I'm like, oh, we missed our Monday chat, and I'm like sad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening to a Tupac song
Fuck yeah.
the other day, and it's when he talks about the plan is to show you that I understand.
Yeah.
Because they were playing it for Mother's Day for this weekend.
Nice.
And I was like, that's a really interesting like lyric to be like, my plan is to show you that I understand. Like, what better way to honor a parent than to like try to understand where they're coming from?
Yeah.
And vice versa, or like anybody, right? Like to just try to understand where people are coming from. I feel like that's like the best way you can help yourself and others.
Yeah. You
know? I did show my mom Instagram. She's fucking stoked about it. I'm super excited that she's stoked about it because I was like, I need something to give you that you can laugh all the time, you know? Okay. And she's like, I do. I sit and I just laugh. She called me this morning and was telling me about it. And it's interesting because, you know, we have this stigma around, not stigma, but right, there's a lot of information around social media and whether or not it's good for us or bad for us.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like a huge debate in mental health. And I think it's been kind of an interesting controversy because it's still new. It's like 10 years old, you know, 15 years old, something like that, social media. So it's like people are still like trying to figure it out. And I think the general consensus is that people think that it's bad for you, but the research is actually really mixed, and we can talk about that later in the episode. But what was your motivation for using that topic in your special and writing your music and for comedy?
My ex-boyfriend. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Because
it's also always their fault. It's mom's fault, but it's also the ex-boyfriend's. It's always your ex's fault too.
I mean, I've done the work, and it's been 2.5 years at this point since we were together. But when we were together, it was so important to him what he looked like online. And then there is an element of that when you're an actor and a performer. Right. What you're presenting is so important because you get hired a lot of times based on how you present yourself.
Right.
And I'm very real, and I can't tell you how much it means to me when people come up to me and they're like, oh, you're just like you are online. That is the best compliment.
You're congruent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my ex was not. He was not what he presented online. And there would be times where I'd want to play or I'd want to go out to dinner or want to do these things. And it was, you know, he'd spend all this time posting. I was trying to move into his apartment and he was trying to post for an hour and a half. I'm like, you don't want to help me move in with you?
Yeah.
And you want to just post?
You don't want to like have this experience in real time. You want to just show people that you're having this experience?
He was posting about something else, but I was...
Oh, it wasn't even about moving?
No.
Oh, okay.
Something else about some event we did the night before. But yeah, and it was such a point of contention in the relationship. It irritated me so much. And a couple of those songs are based off of things that had happened in that relationship.
Well, you really took that experience and like made it relatable to masses, right? Like everybody can relate to the comedy. And I think that's what makes comedy funny in a lot of ways is like whether or not it's relatable. Like my favorite comedy is about like rehabs and things like that. Like, cause I was an addictions counselor. So when I watch people make fun of their own like recovery process and have a sense of humor with that, it just kills me. I love it.
If you haven't watched John Mulaney's new special,
it's fucking great.
So good.
It's so good.
I know.
So good. So good.
I was like, if that's what you like, then that's up your alley.
Yeah, he did a really good job. Really like vulnerable and also like, who am I? What did I do?
Watching that was actually inspiring because I saw it after my taping where I was like, I don't want to do comedy for a while. And then I was like, no, I do want to do comedy.
You get like relit the spark.
So great. Yeah. So good.
That's how you know you're in the career you want to be in, you know, when you have that spark kind of, you're like, I'm tired. And then you're like, oh, piece of candy. What are we going to do? Super excited. Something new and shiny.
Yeah.
But so what was the catfish with your ex? Was it looks? Did he put the image out and then just didn't look the same, or was his personality not match his face, or what happened?
Okay. It's just like, how much do I want to talk about this? He works for a very famous podcaster. I don't want to mention names.
That's fine.
But he works as security. But a lot of the pictures he posts is like him on a private jet. But he's working security for this person on the private jet. So it's stuff like that where it's like, you're not doing that. I'll never forget one time.
It's not your jet.
He got hired by the Church of Scientology to sneak into the People's Choice Awards at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I drove him, dropped him off, and it was fun actually to like help him put together the earpiece and like, you know, the tux and the whole thing and the badge or whatever.
Yeah, like, this is sexy.
He got in. And they hired him because they wanted video of Leah Remini doing her speech
Oh,
at this
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he got it, but he also went up to her, hey, I'm so happy to meet you, blah, 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 big fan, whatever. Took a selfie, posted the selfie online like they were friends. Like, and he got pictures of him on stage, you know, with the step and repeat and all this stuff. And it just, it was so cringe.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be honest about what you do.
That's what's so interesting to me about, like, we talk about this with like profile pictures, right? Like, or not profile pictures, but like headshots, right? So as a professional, like as a mental health therapist, you have to get headshots. And it's like, what is it about the fact that you can see this like photo that I posed for that now you think I'm good at my job, right? Like, why is it that like requirement that you have like some professional photo done so that people take you seriously? Like, that's a weird concept to me.
I think it shows that you care. That you want to put your best foot forward, which is different than lying about what you do online.
That's true. Yeah.
I think that's different.
Yeah.
Someone came up to me after there was a Kenan Thompson competition here in town, where you got 3 minutes and basically they taped all the sets and you had this big finale show in New York City. And the producer of the show came up and he was like, you're a lot funnier than your headshot presents. And he gave me this whole psychology about headshots and why they're so important. And he was like, yeah, and every time that you change them, you're telling your audience you've got new stuff, you've got new material. It's time to buy another ticket.
I like that.
Yeah.
I was always like frustrated by it because I'm like, I don't feel like I should have to present myself in a specific way for you to like take me seriously. And I think that's like I mean, obviously, yeah, it's very different than being like, this is I'm friends with Leah Remini, you know, like that's different, but that's we think so visually as humans, you know, we have this massive visual component. We think visually and we think in these like snapshots. So we see these pictures, right? We'll do it with texts too, where you'll like the mind wants to complete the circle, right? Like if you have this thing, like the mind's like, that's a circle, and then wants to complete down certain areas.
Well, isn't that why we have
fills
like
in that story
hieroglyphics, you know, like the Egyptian, I mean, that was all pictures.
Yeah. It's like your mind wants to fill in that information.
Yeah.
But then we fuck it up because it's like you have a text conversation with somebody and you're, you know, if you don't know the person well, I was talking about this with a friend. That's why it's on front of my mind. But we were talking about, you know, if you date somebody for the first time and you have this long series of text messages, but you don't really know that person because it's just this type of communication, but you're making up a story in your head and you don't realize that you're making up a story.
Yeah.
Right. So you see a picture of like your ex or you see somebody's headshot and you're making up a story in your head about who that person is. And it gives you a feeling and then you base your choices on the feeling.
Yeah.
Whether you like somebody or not without even really knowing them.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird.
It is weird.
I like your version of the psychology better though. It's like shows that you care and it shows that you show, and it's like, yeah, like that's.
I mean, you set time aside, money aside to present yourself like I am a trustworthy person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's funny. So we'll go into the threshold section, and discuss some experiences with social media.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go into the threshold section. This is where we like to talk about our personal experiences about whatever topic we're talking about for the day. So, when you're thinking about social media, like obviously like the whole message that you're put forth is that social media is fake.
Yeah.
Right? So what has been your experience with that? Because I feel like I have very different experience with social media for the most part with people.
I can't wait. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, we're not going to put, God, I hope people don't do this, where you're not going to put your sad stuff on there. You're going to present yourself in a way that's attractive and appealing, right? Yeah. We all want to be told that we're pretty. We all want to be told that we're funny. So we're going to put the best of the best out there.
Yeah.
But that's not reality. But we scroll and we see nothing but good stuff when like you might be having a bad day.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's just living their life. You don't know what they're going through. But we're so addicted to that little handheld device because it's such a feel-good thing when you post the best of the best and be like, you're so hot, you're so funny, you're so amazing. Blah, 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 blah. That feels good.
Yeah.
but that's not how it is all the time.
It's funny too, because like when people try to post that they had a bad day, or they try to like be real about something, we judge the fuck out of that too. You know, we're like, oh, you're attention seeking, or
You're vague booking.
You're vague booking. Yeah. Why would you put that online? And it's like it's like socially we demand to see the happy stuff too. And I notice like I'll put stuff up that's like unfiltered, or like I'll do like post ride rants and it's like totally unfiltered, and like nobody gives a shit about that. Like no, everyone's like, I tried to filter it once and somebody was like, don't filter it. And I was like, but people only want to see things that are filtered.
Stop worrying about what other people want to see. It's not for them.
Well, it was a social it was just an experiment that I was doing, because I was like, I want to see if people will respond more to something that's filtered than something that's not.
Yeah.
And you do like the prettier, more aesthetic stuff. And there's like this psychology behind that too, about like how we're drawn to the aesthetics, and some people that are more highly sensitive are sensitive to aesthetic like things. I found that about myself the other day. I was like, oh, like I did a personality like assessment, and it was like, you're highly drawn to aesthetics, and I was like, well, that explains why I'm a fucking control freak. But so
now you know.
Yeah. I was like, oh, no wonder I like, you know, social media and, you know, colors and, you know.
Listen, Pinterest is great.
Yeah, I don't even use Pinterest. It's a wild to me how many accounts, like different types of social media are out there too.
I know.
I also wanted to talk to you about your love for Taylor Swift.
Wait a minute, one thing at a time.
I feel like she also comes to mind with aesthetics and social media.
Yeah, she's brilliant. She really is brilliant. And is also very much a control freak, if you didn't know that. She's so in control of her own image. And wait, can we go back to the one thing that you said about like unfiltered, like posting yourself unfiltered? Because I think that there is some value in that when, like, I don't know where I learned this, but when you're posting stuff online, it's got to be like an 80-20 rule, right? Like if you're going to be posting promos, beautiful pictures, stuff like that, like it has to be a majority good stuff. Yeah. Right. But if you let some time pass, it's the whole idea of like saying less. People don't need to know your feelings about everything. Right. But once you've processed and gone through the thing that like you're sad or emotional about, if you can wrap it up in a nice little bow where it's like, this is the lesson I learned. People are into that. Yeah. They're like, oh, you had a journey. Okay. Yeah. But it's also not just like sad, lashing out, mean, whatever. Cuckoo bananas.
Don't angry post. Don't rage post.
Yeah. Give yourself a minute. Give yourself a minute to feel it and then be able to rationally explain. Like,
interesting way to think of like also emotional processing.
Yeah.
Like the difference between feeling an emotion and then reacting to it. Right? I tell people that all the time. It's like your reactions to your feelings are different than the feelings themselves. And I think a lot of people like conflate those two things. Like they'll be like, oh, I feel angry and I punch something. It's like, well, the anger is not you punching something. You punching something is the behavior, and you're not your behaviors. You can change your behaviors. Yeah. Right. You don't have to, you can't immediately change your feelings. They're not controllable directly by free will. Otherwise, we choose to be happy all the time, or we choose to be calm all the time. So we have to do things that influence the way we feel about things.
I feel like a light bulb just went off when you said that. You can't control your feelings. That's so true.
Yeah, no, that was one of the, like, I think that was probably one of the first like big like takeaways I had in my career. Yeah. Like very early on working in addictions, they're like, you can't control your feelings directly by free will. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Whew, I'll sit with that for a second.
That's what we try to do with like substances. You know, we try to do that with like alcohol or, you know, medication or things like that. Even antidepressants, right? You're like trying to control you're trying to change your state, trying to control how you feel.
The last time I saw you, I think about you regularly. The last time I saw you, I was like, I have trouble sleeping. So once a week I'll take a melatonin, and then if I still can't sleep, and then I'll like take a weed gummy, and you're like, well, that messes up your sleep cycle. So I haven't done it since then. And I'm still not sleeping, but I blame the fact that I have a puppy that wakes me up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. But
it's always something different. I think people find, like, unless you have like true insomnia, which you can go through phases of having insomnia. I've definitely gone through phases of insomnia, but for different reasons. Yeah. And like, I've definitely struggled with sleep personally my whole life, but for different reasons. Yeah. And what I find funny about sleep stuff nowadays is that people are so obsessed with like, we know now you need to get good sleep, and we know why. And a lot of people know that like when you sleep, it, detoxes your body, detoxes your mind, helps you process and consolidate information, does all these like wonderful things that we need as humans. Otherwise we go insane. But we're so obsessed with getting good sleep now that it stresses us out. So then the stress of getting good sleep, like your nervous system will go up right before you go to bed, and then you'll overthink and you'll like hold tension in your body.
So true.
Yeah, and then now you're just stressed about sleeping, so you don't sleep, and then you create a negative feedback loop.
Yes,
just continue
which is
to not
exactly
sleep.
what I was doing.
Yep,
but not anymore. Not anymore. Yeah, but I think, giving yourself a minute to like process. There was a relationship I was in where it was very physically abusive, and I think at one point I had to post on Facebook to get help to get out, because I don't think he had Facebook. I think he was an Instagram whatever it was.
Yeah.
Made it so that he couldn't see it. And I got the help that I needed to get out physically of that situation.
Yep.
And then it took a good 2 months, I would say, before I finally like posted about, hey, this is what happened to me. I still hold on to this fear, but I'm safe now. Everything's fine. I'm doing okay. And I know, go slow, blah, 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 whatever the lesson is.
Yep.
And it was really cool to see how many comments I got that were like, oh, it's good to know that I'm not the only one that's gone through something like this.
Yep.
But it was wrapped up in a nice little bow,
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, I'm really sad and feelings and emotions, all the thing. It was being able to write about it in a rational way that wasn't just like, here's all my feelings.
In your nervous system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I talk to people about that, working with their nervous systems. And I think a lot of people don't know what I mean, and it's hard to explain. And there's like all these cool tools out there now that you can use. There's something called the Shift Wave chair that I totally want to buy. It's like $10,000, but someday I'm like, I'm going to open a clinic. We're going to have Shift Wave chairs.
Your podcast now sponsored by the Shift Wave chair.
Yeah, it's a cool company. They actually sent a bunch of them over to Ukraine. And Mike has a joke that he says it's easier to stand with Ukraine than in Ukraine. And they're like, oh no, we stand in Ukraine. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Now I want a chair even more. But it actually shakes your your body in a way that helps you understand the difference between having your nervous system on or off. And there's so many subtle layers of that. So what you're talking about, like when you're posting in that excited state, it's that nervous system response. And
I've heard that like animals do that. That's why they like shake like
that's
that.
why they shake. Yeah. If you've ever seen the polar bear video, it's kind of hard to watch, right? Because like they trank the polar bears and nobody wants to see that. But you get to see them recover from the stress, which is a big deal, because that's the thing that gets people to be like, oh, I have to like complete the nervous system response. And I think a lot of people think of like maybe just like the physical structure, like they'd be like, oh, it's your brain and your spinal cord. And it's like, yeah, but it's your experience of that that gets you to, behave in relation to that response, because that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to motivate you to act. And these days, how do we act, right? Like we go on social media and we're like, and like blow up social media. So.
Because the reaction and the likes make us feel validated in the cuckoo bananas that we're going through.
Yeah, you want somebody to heart that shit. So you're like, see, I was fucking right. I did that to him the other day. I was like, I came home and I was like really angry about something. And he does this to me all the time. He'll come home and he'll be angry. And I'm like, I don't care that he's angry. Like, I'm like, that's your shit. Like, deal with your anger, And then I came home angry and I was like, oh, this is why you want me to be angry with you. Like, you want that validation. You want somebody to be like, yeah, fuck that guy. Like you want somebody to be there with you and feel valid. And I was like, I get it now. I'm sorry. I'm going to get on board with your anger now. But it feels good. It's like a real life,
So to bring it full circle, to quote Taylor Swift, where she's like, shake it off.
Yeah.
Shake it off.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I do it?
Yeah.
You get it?
That's
Okay.
it. You brought it full circle.
I've been waiting for a long time to say that.
You know what's funny about Taylor Swift too? Like if she put up a video of her having a bad day, like everybody would go nuts. But the average person like puts up a video about having you know what I mean? Like we do this thing with celebrities that it's like
She doesn't put up a video. She puts up a documentary
of having a bad day. Yeah.
Her entire documentary is just, I disappeared because I thought that's what people wanted.
Yeah.
It's very dramatic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So dramatic. And people love it.
I
We,
do.
like, eat it up. Eat it up. I know you love Taylor.
I do.
I used to be a huge Taylor Swift fan, and I have to admit that I'm not anymore.
What happened?
I realized that the music that I was listening to was indoctrinating and creating these negative messages in my mind about what it meant to be in a relationship.
Oh.
So I was basing a lot of like the music and like the drama of the music, I was like super into that, and it like validated the experience that I was having at the time.
Yeah.
But it also blinded me to figuring out what a healthy relationship would be.
Whoa.
Right. So when I would listen to it, I'd be like, I don't know, what's that? Blank Slate was like one of my favorite songs. And I always thought of my ex, and I realized how toxic a lot of the messages were in the songs, because, and that happens with social media, with the news, with television, right? We watch these things on TV and we see these characters, you know, and they're characters, right? They're produced, right? You're talking about the profile pictures, the headshots, right? There's a lot of time, money, energy, all of the stuff invested into these characters, but they have scripts and they have lines, and there's no story beyond what you're watching on the show. But our minds don't know that. Right. So you're watching this thing and you're seeing this nice message, or you're seeing, and you feel good about the music or whatever it is that you're watching, but you're not hearing some of the underlying messages or tones. You know, it's like Love is Blind. Like Mike likes to joke about this all the time. We talk about Love is Blind.
The show?
The show. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Love that shit. Fucking love it. I love all the music in it. It's all poppy, all the aesthetics. It's all, you know, the aesthetics are pretty.
Cups, I can't get over the cup.
The cup. Yeah. But like every detail, right? Like every detail, like, oh, and you're going to carry this gold chalice for the rest of your life, right? Like you're just going to like, this is part of your hand now.
They're just drinking vodka out of this weird gold.
Yeah. And like every now and then there's
cup,
a straw in it. And like, is it tea? Is it wine? We don't know. Just drink out of the gold cup. But it does, like, it sends these like really messed up messages about relationships, and we watch it and we think that they're good messages, but they're not, like, because they're like queuing up these like very canned responses and canned lines that are not, they make it seem like it's the real world. They're like, oh, we're going to put you in Mexico and then we're going to put you in the real world, and it's still not the real world. And even when they try to break the fourth wall a little bit, you know, in some of the shows, like one of them, that guy was crying. There was like one character, he like didn't make it all the way through, and he was like, hold on, and like put like eye drops in his eye. It was hilarious. I was like, bring that guy back. Yeah. And they try to talk about that, you know, in the reunions and stuff, and how they like break that fourth wall, and that, you know, they can only talk about it so far, you know, you can tell it's like, you know, truncated in some way, and it's like, our mind doesn't know the difference. Our mind watches it and we're like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. And you like find yourself like aligning with different characters and trying to figure out their stories. And then you know, absorb that as reality. Yeah. And it's not.
I wish we had more conversations like that. I remember being really young and we were watching Robin Hood with Kevin Costner. Do you remember that film?
I only remember Men in Tights.
Prince of Thieves.
Prince of Thieves, yeah. Oh. It wasn't the funny one. It was like the serious one. But there were like a bunch of violent scenes, people dying, arrows, whatever, sword fights, whatever.
Sure.
I was eating it up. I was like, Kevin Costner's awesome. You know, this is really fun. Shit, yeah. How old am I? 7? I don't know.
That was the one with Bruce Springsteen did the main song, I think, or was it? No, it was Bryan Adams.
Yes,
Bryan Adams.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, I would do. No, that's Meatloaf.
I saw a meme the other day that was like, that's the best safe word ever. Meatloaf is the best safe word, because I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. And I was like, this is why we love social media.
That's so good. The internet can be amazing. It is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is amazing.
Absolutely. If you make it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
We had a wonderful conversation at 7 or 8 years old, and my mom was like, you know that this is all fake. None of this is real. Everything that you're looking at is made up. They plan it out. And we talked a lot about fake blood, stunts, you know, people doing actions, all this stuff. And I think about that all the time. And I think that was where my curiosity came into play. Like, I want to be an actor. Like, I want to make stuff look real that's not real.
That was like the moment you decided?
Tell a story. I think so. Yeah. And I remember standing in front of the floor length mirror in the bathroom with, you know, my towels wrapped around like a gown, like a strapless gown, like giving my Academy Awards speeches in the mirror, you know? And I think that's when I decided, like, this is a really cool line of work that you get to play pretend, but it looks so real.
I love that. It's my grandfather, when I was little, used to give me the hairbrush and film me on the fireplace, and he'd be like, the one, the only, and like introduce me like I was a rock star and I would sing. And to this day, I wish I could sing. I won't even do karaoke because I don't have a good voice.
Yes, you can. Everyone can sing. You can sing.
Oh, someday I'll try. One of these days.
It's so good. It's so healing. It's
well, yeah. And
you don't sing in the car.
Of course I do. Oh, okay. Yeah, of course. Okay. I sing all the time. But not onto a microphone on a stage, which is why I respect what you do so much.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's got an incredible voice. Incredible.
I don't know about that.
It is. Like Adele level, incredible voice. You do. She does. She does.
You ever hear now?
I'm pretty and I'm funny and I can sing.
No. It's fine. What else? What are we talking about?
We're elder millennials. We can't take compliments. We don't do well with compliments.
Thank you. Thank you.
I work on that with my clients a lot. I'm just say thank you and then dead air.
It helps.
Let it sit.
It helps.
And then you're like
Yeah.
it's discomfort.
I gotta think about that all the way home.
Do something now.
Do you have a favorite social media?
I use Instagram a lot right now. I was like on Facebook like day one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had the college account, you know, and I'd like message all my ex-boyfriends on it. You know?
Cool.
Yeah. And
I remember when Facebook came and I was still on MySpace. I'm like, ugh, do we have to move all this over there?
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
MySpace was awesome too. I remember my friend Joe found out they added the like button, and he didn't know that every time you hit the like button, it would show, you know, it would post. So he was like, I didn't know. And he's like, now it's like Joe likes eggs. Joe likes beef. Joe likes just like the whole wall of like Joe likes this. And something popped up for me the other day. It was like, you know, one of the memories. And it was like back when you didn't understand the posting. So it was like Kristen, and it's like, and I like just finished the sentence, like was blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, I
think because it was different then, because it would say like Kristen is. And
and then you would finish the sentence.
Yeah. And then for a while it was like, how are you feeling today? And then you do these weird vague booking posts where you're like,
I feel weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel off. Yeah, I would do that. I would share like all my thoughts and feelings and everything on Facebook. Like there's a well documented record of my entire life on the internet. And
thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Well, the Kevin Hart thing freaked me out when they were like, he said something racist back in the day. And I was like, what the fuck did I say when I don't know what I was saying. I was 22 and I was probably drunk when I made the post. Right. So who knows what I thought. Very different person, you know.
Also, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
Because if you were 22 and in your mid 30s, that'd be a problem.
That'd be a problem.
22-year-old brain in your mid 30s. Yeah.
I grew up. I evolved. We grow up. This is what happens. Ideally, this is what happens, right? You grow up and you got there. We can move on to the approach section though, because I want to talk about some research that I found on whether or not social media is good for you. Okay, welcome to the approach section. We're going to talk about some research from the Journal of Epidemiology. I don't know why they named it that. It's very
epidemiology.
It ends in ologia.
Ologia.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got fancy with it. I was doing some research just to look at I was trying to figure out. They said that CNN causes depression, which I was confused about because I was trying
Fox doesn't. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, why did we just study one news channel?
Yeah,
I think whoever said that got confused because there's something called a convolutional neural network that has to do. I think it's convolutional. I might have said that wrong. Anyways, it's called the CNN.
Oh,
yeah, technique for assessing depression, and it uses languaging and different things to, verify if people have depression or not more quickly than some of the former assessments that we used to use. So I think whoever said that might have gotten confused. So that was kind of interesting. So I was looking up, I was like, where's this research article that says that CNN causes depression? I need to see it,
Okay, yeah.
So I went down this rabbit hole of looking at research in terms of news and media and social media. And I was surprised to find out that a lot of the research on social media for mental health is inconclusive. Mm-hmm. So it's been a topic, like we said before, that's been discussed for a really long time. Not a really long time, but it's high interest for the last 10 years. And there's not any definitive evidence that says that it's good for you or bad for you. So, and a lot of the research is actually skewed to say that it can be really, really good. Facebook is actually the best.
What?
And Instagram is actually the worst. Yeah. So this study in particular is a meta-analysis, and they looked at multiple countries, and they looked at 39 articles, and they looked at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And it showed that Instagram's the worst, right? It's bad for body image, and it's bad for self-worth.
Yeah.
Right? Just exactly for the reasons we were just discussing. And Facebook is the best. And they were talking about how more and more people these days are turning to social media to understand their mental health. So they're like going to social media, looking for resources and trying to find communities and networks. But it's interesting, right? Because you had talked about getting out of the abusive situation that you were in through social media. And I see a lot of people do that. And I think, there's this interesting aspect of it being accessible. And there's also a lot of material there. So they were talking about, maybe future thoughts around it to have, professionals gear their information dissemination around social media. And I was like, that's really interesting. And that's always been a problem in psychology for a really long time. Like when I've been studying psychology for like 20 years. And one of the biggest problems has always been disseminating information to the general public.
When you say that, what do you mean? Like breaking it down so that in layman's terms, is that what you mean?
Yeah. So from the time a research study starts to the time it gets adopted by the public at large is 30 years.
Whoa. Okay.
So the dissemination aspect is the hard part. So it's like academia, study, it takes from somebody has an idea and then you have to get it approved and then you have to go through the whole process, right? It's this very long, arduous process, very tedious. But then the general public doesn't go to Google Scholar and read the research. A lot of the research is actually behind a paywall.
Right.
And so now they're looking at social media as being like a very easy way to disseminate that information. And they actually were encouraging mental health professionals to take more action around that. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was interesting that Facebook was like the healthiest version of that.
Which is so funny because it's the one that irritates me the most.
But so what does it irritate you? Why?
Because there's too many, and it sounds dumb, it's too many words, which is contradictory to like how I feel about when I'm looking for information, because I don't want it in a video. Like I want to read it. I want to skim it myself, and I don't want to watch you talk about yourself or what, you know what I mean? That YouTube University. But Facebook is so divided. It's so political. It feels so angry. It's full of ads. There's nothing happening over there except, I guess as a comedian, it's like, you want to get on shows.
Material.
That's where you got to find the people that you need to network with.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was one of the things that I was saying too. Like you can create these communities and these groups and things like that, so people can like find information or connect with people that have a shared struggle differently than they would, going to a neighbor's house or,
it's definitely easier to ask for help behind a screen than it is to say, hi, can you help me? Yeah.
To actually verbalize that and say that out loud to another human being.
Yeah. Because if someone can't online, they'll just skip right past it. You know what I mean? I don't have to face that rejection in real life. That's easier.
And you don't have to like deal with the actual physiological experience of all of that, right? We talked about nervous system earlier.
Yeah.
If you sit there and you say, hey, Maggie, like I need help, I'm really struggling. I have to deal with like your face and your reaction and then my experience in my body.
Yeah.
And online, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You take all of that experience out and you're just like, I'm having a bad day. And you can just leave it there. It just hangs out there in cyberspace.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, TikTok, I don't know if that probably wasn't in the...
It's not. Yeah. No.
Because it's so new.
That study was from 2020 and they studied 10 years of social media. So they studied 2010 to 2020.
I was just talking to a friend about this last night because I asked him, I'm like, what's your social media? What's your favorite one? And he said Instagram, which it was for a while, but now it's like, it's also becoming pretty wordy and kind of political. But I like TikTok a lot. And I don't know how I figured out the algorithm, but it's all just like people trying to make me laugh or like cute dog videos and like, it's just cute stuff.
So there are, at the time of that study in 2020, there were 2.5 billion Facebook users.
Whoa.
1 billion Instagram users and 330 million I think Twitter, yeah, which is the entire population of the United States. So,
wow,
yeah,
it's getting a bad rap, but I like Twitter.
I don't use it. I need to. I try.
You don't need to do anything.
Well, I like to do this stuff. Like I like to. So one thing is that, Instagram, I find like mental health, as a mental health practitioner, like I'll send clients to different Instagram accounts to get different messages so that they're worded more like clearly and precisely so they can do work between sessions. Because some people will come to therapy and they won't do the work between sessions. Some people come to therapy and they say, just to say they're going to therapy, right? So they don't actually do like extra reading or extra homework or any introspective work between sessions. Sometimes that's the fault of the therapist. Like sometimes I can't verbalize that well, or like, verbalize it in a way that makes sense to somebody.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just don't do it, right?
Yeah.
So if you can send somebody to a social media account like Instagram or something like that, like Dr. Nicole LaPera, the holistic psychologist, my favorite. Nidra Tawwab is another one, Nidra Tawwab. And so it creates this like really cool extra support or like extra information. But also I find that people, specifically like women that have suffered from narcissistic abuse, people that struggle with self-esteem, people that struggle with taking up space in a room, it's really therapeutic for them to put themselves out there, take a selfie and make a post, right? And that can be like a big barrier for them to overcome. So it's interesting because like I say, like I always want to check out these other accounts, right? And Twitter and stuff like that, because it's different than that specific thing that you can get on Instagram. So I always wonder like what would be the benefit on Twitter or TikTok or, Facebook, and like those different dynamics of like those different ways of interacting, because the platforms are different. It's like, how can you use it as a place of empowerment, or how can you use it as like a tool to succeed, but I guess there's a lot of that I guess Twitter has a lot of like communities or hashtags or things like that are really good, that put out really good mental health information, but I don't know because I don't use it. So, but again, like I say, I need to try to get on and use it, but
you don't need to do shit.
There's like 90 social media apps, There's no research on like Snapchat or Pinterest, right? It's only on the
big three.
Yep.
Inconclusive.
Yeah. And I went down a rabbit hole of like, I was like, all right, well, who published the research and who
Good
owns
for you.
Good. Cause I'm like, I want to know, right? Like if it
who's paying for this?
Skews it, skews it a little bit to the positive side. I'm like, does Bezos own, or does, Elon own, or who owns the research journal, or who owns, but there's, it's interesting cause, there's a editing company, not editing, a journal review company called Cope.
Okay.
And they review research articles to keep them within ethical standards. And it's funny because it was just this group of people that got together in 1997, like very casually. And they were like, oh, there's like contradictory evidence in this journal article. I wonder how much that shows up in other places. And then over the course of time, they've become like the company that monitors the ethics of the journal publications. And I'm like, that's interesting too, because it's like,
who are you?
Yeah, we're all just like humans, like telling other humans what to do. So it's very like,
isn't that amazing though?
Yeah, it is.
All this stuff was created by people like you and me.
Yeah, it blows my mind. And I don't think enough people know that. Like, I don't think people realize, like we were talking before we got on, and we were talking about how like some people don't know that you can be happy. Right? Like Maggie was talking about how you don't know people just walking around in pain. You don't know that they're walking around in pain. They're just not saying it, right? But they're in pain.
Yeah,
you don't know what
everyone's in pain.
Yeah, you don't know what their lived experience is, and that's true. And also, I think it's true for happiness as well. Like you can be happy, and I don't think we realize that. It's almost like we feel like we're not allowed to be, or like if other people are suffering, we need to suffer too. And
I just want to be content.
Well, and I say that all the time. I go, I don't think people want to be happy. I think they want to be calm.
Yeah.
And I think different things make different people calm. And I think that's a good thing, because if the same thing made us all calm and we all like just lived at the beach, all 330, million people in the US just liked the beach. Like, I'm glad there are people that like the snow, like get out of my sunshine, Go ski. I don't ski. Go
That'd be a
ski.
disaster.
Yeah, I'll be on a surfboard. So I thought that research was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by that? That it's like,
Yes, but now you break it down. It's like, well, okay, that checks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they I guess it's like a pretty strong source of connection, and you would think that would have deteriorated after 2020, but
I think it's the addiction that's not healthy, that we're addicted to it.
so that was the downfall, right? Like that was
Yeah.
the negative effect, that it was like it's how much you use it.
Yeah.
And they were saying that people that are mentally ill use it just as much as people that are not mentally ill. So there's kind of not like a variance there. But that you can develop more problems if you use it too much. So if you're on too long, if you like, and then they have all those trackers and timers and like monitors and things. And like, I don't listen to it. It comes on. It's like, you've been on for 15 minutes. I'm like, fuck off. I stay on for another hour. It's like,
You ever look at it at the end of the week and it's like, you are on like screen time or whatever. It's like you average 10 hours, like 10 hours.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
you're like, now I am depressed. Thanks.
Yeah. I'm not looking at that for 10 hours. Like, does it count when you play Spotify? Does it count when I use my exercise app? Like, does that count? Like, those count.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it should break it down. Doesn't it break it down? Breaks it down like entertainment.
I don't want to look at I don't want to look at that.
I don't know
I'm
my
already on
actual
it.
data.
Almost half the
The
day.
data that's depressing.
Yeah, I'm using my maps. That's what it is. It's fine. I drive a lot.
I'm on it all the time. It's a tax write-off. I run my whole business on it. So
On your phone?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's a whole new world. Bitches love worlds. So we're going to move on to the next section, the final section, the road back. We can talk about ways that you can engage with some of the things that we talked about in your own life. Welcome to the road back. All these segments are named after Joseph Campbell's journey.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting
Am
thing.
I supposed to know what that is?
So Joseph Campbell, he basically talks about like the human adventure, like, and how it's like what you see in storylines in movies.
Oh, okay.
Right. So there's like a hero.
Yeah.
There's like a protagonist, and there's some sort of conflict that they have to overcome, some obstacle, and then they overcome the obstacle, and then they become the hero of their own story. And like that's where that came from, is Joseph Campbell's
Cool.
study of like heroes in the journey. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Thing. If you look into Joseph Campbell, he's cool. So I think the biggest thing I want to talk about is the fact that you can change your algorithm, right? Like you can actually use social media really intentionally and actually use it to improve your life, right? If you're using it and you find yourself feeling bad about yourself, or you find yourself with low self-worth or struggling with your confidence, change the algorithm. Not only change the algorithm on your phone, but change the way you think about what you're doing on social media. Use it as a tool, right? So, I mean, you know how to do that, right? You're a comedian, you're an actress. You use it as a tool to market and promote, right? To a degree. You also use it to personal ends to some capacity, correct? Like you have like
For my own entertainment?
yeah, for my own joy.
Yes.
But you can do that, right? Like you can cater your algorithm. Like a lot of my algorithm is all like health tips or business investing tips or I don't know, like dog videos, make me happy. My friends are on there, promoting my friends, or, talking about comedy, like there's tons of comedy on there. So there's so many different ways you can like alter your algorithm to make it, work in your benefit. And I think somebody like me personally, like I was an only child growing up, and I didn't have, like, I like to say that I was unattended. So I was alone a lot. Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of how I found out like how to be successful was to go on social media and see how other people were successful. So when people are sharing their journeys and sharing their stories, when you learn from those things, you can really grow as a person yourself, and you can see that other people have different lenses in the world, and you can learn, like you can hear their stories, you can hear their perspectives, you can see like different tools and tips and resources. And like, I think that that's really overlooked. I think we talk a lot about it being a bad thing. And I think that, I don't know, I think it can be a good thing.
It can, yeah.
Yeah. It's still fake, but
It can be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever do that? Do you ever go on and like use it like for your own, I mean, just entertainment? Or do you ever go like on a fact-finding mission or? No, just dog videos.
Yeah, it's really for entertainment.
What's your algorithm look like?
For like networking, it's like, okay, I'm going to New York City in a couple weeks. It's like, who lives there that could put me on a show that might be interested?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really...
So you wind up building a community on it to some degree, right? Like networking is essentially a community.
Listen, I don't want everyone to have my phone number.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's another good point, right?
I don't want that.
It's actually a way to interact and communicate where you don't have to be so personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you can use it as a tool. You can use it for good, but also to keep in mind that it is like you're saying, like when I think of like social media being fake, like I think of what you talked about, right? But I also think of like how you're not going to like you said before, you're not going to see somebody's entire life. Like that's not the point. Like first of all, when you have a social media account, that's your page, right? So it's your place to talk about yourself.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to talk about other people on your page. And if you are, you should probably call a therapist, but you know, it's yours.
Yes.
So
are you familiar with the account Celeste Barber? Are you familiar
yes.
with her?
Yeah.
I think she's a great example of like why social media is so fake. Because you do see some of these like lovely images and these great things.
Yeah.
But she breaks it. It's lighting, it's costuming. It's like having so much more help than just posting a selfie.
Yeah. It's a lot of work.
It is.
To like make it as like if you're like intentionally trying to make it fake and intentionally try to build the aesthetic, right? That's a lot of work. It's a lot of investment.
Which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
But I think that when we look at it, we think it's not, right? Like we look at those 10 seconds and we're like, oh, this is flawless or easy for them or effortless for them. And it's not. Likely it's not, right? Even Celeste Barber, like she takes time. Like she's going to think about how she's going to, you know, mock whatever she's mocking. And then she's going to have the stuff to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I appreciate the amount of effort she puts into it.
Yeah.
You know, because I think it does help dismantle, you know, that image. Fourth wall, right? Breaks down that fourth wall.
Yeah. Listen, you can be behind a screen and you can take all the time in the world that you want to type out whatever it is that you want to say. You don't have that luxury in real life. And that's what I mean by social media is fake. It's like everything is calculated. It is planned. It is thought out. It is not, it might be based in reality, but you don't really know how true that is.
Yep. And there are like degrees to which, right?
Yeah.
There's a screen, there's a light, somebody press play, there's editing, there's all of these different layers and levels of things between you and the person, but it makes it seem like it's right there. And I think we don't think about that, right? Which is why I fucking love your music.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very silly, for sure.
So you're going to release it when it's done.
Yep.
We're not sure when that's going to be.
I think this fall, is what I'm aiming for.
Okay. That's going to be really exciting.
Thank you.
You have all kinds of other great content on your accounts too.
Thanks.
Yeah. Just like some of the videos that you put up. And
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Some of your own headshots that you took without a professional that you took.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm wearing the same outfit in my headshot now. I didn't know.
Yep. You're like, this is as real as it gets between you and social media. Like wearing the same thing.
It's a ring light and a blue screen.
Yeah.
That's it.
And a timer on a camera. Anybody can do it these days. But you do it really well. So I appreciate that you came on and talked about this today because I think it's a big topic for people. So
yeah.
Go check out Maggie Mayfield, Maggi.
Correct.
Mayfield on Instagram. Where else?
It's all anywhere. MaggieMayfield.com. It'll put you to any social media you want.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Kristen.
If you're having a mental health emergency, we urge you to dial the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255 or text the crisis text line. Text HOME to 741 741.